Thinking about launching a podcast but overwhelmed by all the moving parts? At Turnkey Podcast Productions, we take the hassle out of podcasting so you can focus on the talk, not the tech. From concept to launch, guest booking to post-production, we handle everything. Need a strategy to grow your show and turn guests into clients? Yep, we do that too. DIY or done for you, we've got the solution that fits. Whether you're just getting started or ready to scale, Turnkey is your behind-the-scenes podcast team. Turnkey Podcast Productions. Your voice, your message, fully produced. Learn more at turnkeypodcast.com/contact. That's turnkeypodcast.com/contact.
They actually have a plan for today's Nice Guys on Business podcast. You don't want to miss it.
For all you startup guys out there, you're eventually going to build a team. And my advice is that when you build your team, preferably as or before, set your values. Take some time. I say 3 to 6 months to set your values. You already have them. Talk to your people. It's really just getting them down and then embody your values. And that really sets your culture. But if you don't do that, you're going to end up with high turnover. 20-30% of your people are going to leave every year, and you're retraining, and it's just not a good situation to be in. So focus on your values, focus on your culture, focus on treating your people properly and getting them all lined up to run towards that vision of yours. And you'd be amazed at what can happen if you do that.
The Nice Guys apologize for any inconvenience that this podcast has caused anyone. By the way, is there anyone listening who knows how to fly a plane? Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by Turnkey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
All right, welcome back, Nice Guy community. Today's guest, his name is Dean Mathews. He's a SaaS founder, and I'll tell you what that is in just a second. And he's the CEO who's been building cool stuff, strong teams, and meaningful companies for more than 20 years. And he did it all as a self-taught, roll-up-your-sleeves kind of guy. Now, Dean believes business isn't just about software and profit. It's about people, curiosity, and creating a culture where everyone can actually thrive. He's a big fan of failing fast, also learning faster and leading with transparency, passion, and just enough humility to know he doesn't have to have it all figured out, not quite yet. If you like real conversations about leadership, growth, and building companies that are both successful and human, you're going to be in the right spot for this one. Dean, I'm excited to chat with you. Welcome to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Thank you so much, Doug, for having me. Really excited and honored to chat with you.
Oh, my pleasure. So I want to start with something that may seem a little bit rudimentary, but for those in our audience and for me, because I'm going to ask some of these questions from my perspective too. I love the third grade curiosity standpoint. What is a SaaS exactly? Does SaaS stand for something? Is it bigger or something? What is it?
Yeah, SaaS, software as a service, right? So I think the roots go back to Salesforce. They were one of the first ones to coin the term. Fun fact, our product, OnTheClock, actually started before the term SaaS was a term.
Nice.
So we used to call it multi-tenant back in the day.
Okay, so SaaS being a lot of companies have moved to, and I was even telling you right before I hit record about this summit that we're doing live podcasting at the conference this year. It's called the Sub Summit. It's for people that have a subscription-based service.
Yes.
And isn't there a lot of crossover between a SaaS and a subscription program? I mean, I'm sure there are SaaS that aren't subscriptions, but aren't the profitable SaaSes all based upon subscription services?
I honestly, not surveying every single one of them, but the overwhelming majority, I would say the high 90% are definitely subscription. Most being, I'm not going to say most anymore, but I would say probably they mostly offer a monthly and or an annual contract.
Right.
So you can generally choose between the two. Yeah.
And I remember I used to be an owner of QuickBooks. You buy a $150 program and you load it in your computer and you have it for a lifetime. And then many years ago, they went to hey, we're not going to sell you the program any longer. We're going to sell you a subscription, which is a lot less expensive, or short-term, a lot less expensive, $20 a month. But, then they have you for 3, 4, 5 years, and they include all of the updates, and that's great. What it provides for the company is a guaranteed income stream, cash flow stream for them. And what it provides for the customer is a low risk, high reward entry into a product that maybe could have been more affordable, more expensive, like a Microsoft Word used to be $1,000. And instead they do it like a $20 a month service. Is that a fair representation of what it's all about?
Yeah, I would say that you are very fair with that evaluation. In a lot of ways, I really view SaaS, the SaaS model, subscription, monthly or annual. I really see it as a win-win. The days of purchasing hundreds or thousands of dollars of software and then paying for the upgrades, and it's just the upgrade path. It just happens overnight. It just shows up in your browser the next day. I mean, how nice is that? How many botched upgrades and installs have we had over the years?
Oh my gosh, so many. And I've talked to my partner Strickland, who we own a podcast production company, and we have I would say a high-end subscription-based program, high-end being it's $1,000 or more a month for what we do. But that isn't really where a lot of SaaS's price point starts. Many are in the $10 to $15 range month, and you can go up from there. Certainly enterprise wide, where you have many users, could also equate to $1,000 or more dollars a month, and I'm sure there are many that are more than that. But I think that the majority of SaaS products really do hit a home run in that sweet spot of anything under $50 a month. It seems like it's a no-brainer, and you get a very low cancellation rate when you have such a low price type of service.
You do, and the barrier to entry is so low with SaaS. The buying, the whole mechanism of buying went from, we used to have to allocate hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars for a 2 or a 5 year contract, down to, the average manager at a small company can plop a credit card on file. $30 later, he's got his system.
Right.
So there's all the procurement, all that just goes away, and it scales very well as well.
So you mentioned something just a moment ago, and I want to expand upon this because I think it's a really good point for the longevity of the type of service that you provide. You got into SaaS before it was SaaS. So you called it, what was it called before? It was
multi-tenant is what it used to be called.
Okay, so multi-tenant program or whatever it is. And nowadays with ChatGPT, you can put together a landing page and have a SaaS starting in literally 10 minutes.
It's kind of crazy.
You just have to sell it. So let's talk about your beginnings, like how that started, where the idea came from for you to have the multi-tenant thing, and then the evolution of that. And then not only was it a service before its time, but you stayed in the game long enough to become a service within its time as well. So can you just share a little bit of your journey?
Yeah. So on the clock, our product, we do scheduling, time tracking, payroll, and what we call HR Lite. It started, I call it the kitchen table story. So it was literally 22 years ago now. I was sitting at my kitchen table, and I'm a nerd, so I was browsing through these accounting and small business forums. Remember those? And I just kept, it was like 11 o'clock on a Friday night, and I just kept running across this theme. These small business owners and these accountants were just talking about that they could not find a online, easy to use, reliable time tracking solution to track their employees' time. And I'm a developer at heart. I'm also an entrepreneur. And I looked at those. I searched around for a couple hours, and I saw the problem. I identified the problem, and I said to myself, I'm going to build that. And that was, like I said, before it was called SaaS, but the model was definitely out there. And I knew for sure that I did not want to build a desktop app and ship disks and downloads and installs and deal with DLLs and all that. So I really quickly ramped up on what was called multi-tenant back then, and really started it as the SaaS service before SaaS was cool.
All right. So I want to talk about a couple of things, and I also want to schedule a time for you that we can talk afterwards, because as soon as I heard the word developer, I'm like, oh crap, this guy's got the brain that I don't have for programming. And nowadays, I just was listening to the Daily this morning. I don't know if you're a fan of New York Times, the Daily, but they had a an episode on vibe coding this morning. So it's
Hmm.
basically you talk into ChatGPT what you're looking for, and it will actually create the code that you want, which has taken a lot of programmers and developers not out of business because it's not there yet, but it's not far from being there yet. And developers and coders are going to have to speak a different world in order for them
Yeah.
to survive. So as a developer, what are you thinking about technology now with this vibe coding and other things like that can either completely change the shape and face of your business or create this onslaught of competition where anybody that wants to now time track is able to do it a little bit easier. Now, I know you have a whole bunch of options like GPS coding and I mean GPS tracking and all of that stuff with your employees, and that's a little bit more challenging, but a lot in here. Sorry, Dean. But I'm really curious, like where you think that this environment is going based upon technology today.
Yeah, and as that, I mean, it's extremely valid question and point. So, when AI became kind of popular with, original ChatGPT back years ago,
Right.
I really noted that there's something going on here, and we need to watch this from a development standpoint. Personally, I don't develop anymore. I have a team of developers now. I am the product director, so I'm the head of that department as well as CEO. But at this point, you are 100% correct. You cannot prompt and get a properly usable system at this exact point.
Right. Today.
Now,
It's
over
like
the
two
years,
weeks ago it started. That's how it
yeah,
started, it
uh,
seems like.
that will go away. That will happen.
Right.
So what it really does in my mind is it pushes developers themselves to move away from the day-to-day grind of writing the code and become more like architects of
Yeah.
a system.
Right.
So they are not necessarily doing the laborious code writing. I mean, there's been AI tools around that can, and even non-AI tools that can speed kind of mundane code development for years. But now we're at a place where AI can actually take your requirements. I mean, we use Lovable and what's the other one? I forget the name, but we use those tools a lot, and they do our UIs in like minutes. It's just
Wow.
amazing.
Wow.
But that's not the back end logic. The back end logic will come. But the point is that as developers, all developers are just going to have to move up one or two levels and start to think more like architects and start to think about the business problems that we're solving as opposed to the coding
But
problems.
I love what you're saying because in essence, what you're telling me, at least what I'm hearing is, and I'm a customer support kind of customer service, user experience, customer experience kind of guy. What I hear is coding, while it is an essential component of making sure that you're bringing out your deliverables properly, as important or maybe even more important is going to be how does that user experience vibe with your user, your customer that's out there, and
Mhm.
and how can you create a support structure for your program that's going to be second to none, and putting support at the forefront of it rather than coding and architecture into the forefront of it.
Yeah, and support, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's definitely lots of AI options for support. But I mean, one thing that we have learned as a SaaS company is our customers, we have 16,000 customers right now, and they want a human on the other end of the line
Right.
when they want a human,
Right.
right?
When they want one. Right.
There,
Exactly.
there's definitely times where, they just want to use the help section or the AI, and that's great. But, if it's like Friday afternoon and you need to get time cards out for payroll and you're fiddling with an AI that has no stake in the game of answering your question, you want a human. So I don't that will I'm really predicting that will persist for a long time. I think the AI thing is coming, and it will be here, and it will facilitate and make support better and faster. And for the people that don't want to talk to a real person, that will make their experience better as well. But I'm still a firm believer in support, and we have a small team, very effective team, 4.9 stars, by the way.
Nice.
That serves our 16,000 customers, and they love it.
All
I mean,
right.
we actually answer the phone when you call it.
Love it.
Like like literally pick it
You
up.
have a phone. That's the first thing that's
Yeah.
important is you have a phone. That's very cool because
Yeah.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of organizations that you can't like try to call Facebook. It's not
And so,
happening.
it's not happening. You can't call anybody. I mean, unless you're
Right.
willing to,
Right.
pay for a big subscription for help. But
All right. Well,
that could be a differentiator going forward with, anybody starting up SaaS, whether it's AI or not, people need support at the end of the day.
all right. So you mentioned a couple things, and I want to throw them to my community. I want to talk to my community for a second, then I want to bring it back to you because I want somebody to understand. And again, you're the expert in SaaS, so please just step on me when you hear me either saying something that's not right or you want to yes and Doug, this could really do it. I think about 16,000. You mentioned that number twice. 16,000 customers. Now, Nice Guy community, who is out there that has 16,000 customers in our community? Probably very few people. So listen to what Dean is saying. 16,000 people. Now, I'm going to try to make this even more simple so they understand the reality of it. How many people can manage on your team, Dean, can manage 16,000 people? How many team members do you have full-time, part-time?
So currently we are at 21 people right now. We have 3 coming in literally as we speak, and probably another 3 coming in over the next 6 months.
Okay. So 21 people right now. Is that where it is? Are you going to be
Correct.
25
Yes.
or somewhere around there? So
Yeah.
16,000 customers, 25 people manage them. And again, if this is so Nice Guy community, so you understand this, I'm assuming very much similar to my team. We have 18 people on our team. 15 of the 18 people are overseas because less expensive labor, great work ethic, really high on customer service, customer support, really want to be pleasing. Not that we can't find that in the US, but it's hard to find that in the US at the dollar amount that we're spending on our team to find a reliable team. How many or what percentage of those people are overseas for you?
So for us, 100% of our team is here in the States.
Okay, so that was just a decision that Dean made at some point that we need overseas, we need local, what was the reason for that? I'm really curious.
It's for me, I'm a really big believer in values and culture at work. We do have some remote people and we work really, really hard to have them inside the culture. So for us, it was really more about building a team of people that are at least in the same time zone-ish, so we could roughly be on the same playing field. So the decision was mostly for culture and values for us. So I'm a really huge believer in that.
All good, man.
Not that we won't consider that, but we just haven't had the need to do that so far.
I mean, the beautiful thing is that he's been able to create that environment here in the U.S. and more power to you if you're able to do that. We just weren't finding that in the first few years of doing it. We just kept stumbling through local people. You obviously have had a very good approach. Maybe it's a better culture than we had in the beginning. Doesn't matter, but for whatever works for you, works for you.
Every company is different.
So 25 people can manage 16,000. Again, Nice Guy community. Think about this when it comes to putting together your idea. If you have an idea and you want to create a software as a service, Dean, what's a good starting point? I mean, is there a sketch on a napkin? Is there a problem to solve? Is it something that walk somebody through the early stages of somebody thinking about
the
this?
very, very first thing that anybody has to do, doesn't matter SaaS in particular, but you have to identify a real problem that is out there. So for me, finding the problem was 22 years ago was the forums. I was just searching through forums and I saw the problem. But it was just me at the time, but I found it, I validated it over a very short period of time, talked to a few people, and it was just my time at the moment. So I didn't have to put out capital. So I had the ability to just go ahead and build it because I was a developer as well. So, but the problem, that's the key. The key is finding the pain point that you're solving and then demonstrating that you can solve that pain point. That you can solve their problem.
Over again, the same way, and with all the variables that are involved in the problem.
Yeah, if you don't have a problem, you don't have a product. That's just the reality. So,
So I know you've seen a lot, not only in technology change, culture change. You've seen people change. You've seen life with you've seen the United States, the world go through a pandemic. You've seen a
mhm.
number of things. You've seen financial ups and downs with the 2008 economic setback. You've seen people go through sickness. You've seen people in various stages. Is there one thing or a couple of things that you have seen that have really shaped what your company has come to today, 20 some odd years later?
You know, I mean, over the years, I'd probably say the biggest thing that we had in the very beginning with our product on the clock, it was just me for the first, literally the first 10 years. It was, I called it a passion project. So I had five, six of these passion projects, but on the clock is the one that really stood out. But for the first 10 years, I was really running under the presumption that I wanted to just do this myself. I didn't want a team.
Right.
I had some exposure to some really bad cultures for a decade or two, and it really just kind of soured my want of having a team. But it got to the point to where I needed you can't scale without people.
Right.
Um, so I really had to overcome that hurdle, and that was probably for me the biggest one that I had to overcome is is just building the team. But for me, I had all these bad cultures that I had witnessed for decades before that, and I knew what I did not want to do.
Hmm.
So when we came in, I had very clear understanding and vision of what I wanted our culture to be set at. And for me, that was the one of the biggest things. And I would really double down for anybody building a company that if you want to have good people and you want to have them behind your product and behind your customer and really, really wanting to be part of it, you got to have a good culture. People, if they're just working for the paycheck, you got the wrong team. It's just not, there's more to it than that. There's a lot more to it than that.
One of the things I heard is as you were given that answer, and again, nice guy community, you may have heard this too. The important thing is you got to be passionate about what you do. But Dean put in 10 years of his own time before he even brought on
Yeah.
his next team member. If you think about all of the rough patches that he had to go through, how long did you do that with a full-time job in addition to your on the clock job?
Yeah. Well, like that 10 years, basically, pretty much
Oh, so
at
you
the
had
10-year point
full-time
is,
job and you were working on the clock.
yeah, and several other projects as well. So yeah.
Amazing.
There's a couple of them still around, but most of them have sunsetted. But yeah, that it was really just me those first 10 years. And
And
yeah.
when did you know that it was going to be like this is the thing? Was it a revenue? Was it a top line number? Was it a this is how much I need in the bank number? Like when was it that you knew that on the clock was it?
Yeah, it was probably a combination of a couple things. Probably the first thing is that, I was a consultant, so I worked on dozens of different companies, MRP, inventory, accounting systems, whatever they needed. And I had on the clock, and I had several other SaaS solutions as well. And I just wanted to work on one thing. I
Yeah.
just wanted
Yeah.
to do one thing really, really good. And so that passion, along with the fact that on the clock was growing, uh, on its own, and I couldn't really ignore it anymore. So those two things tied together were really the pivoting point to where I'm like, okay, we need to build a team around this. We need to turn this from a passion project into a real business, wrap an LLC around it. And that really was, those two reasons were my primary movers to really go all in.
So, as a developer, there's a certain skill set that you have that is not necessarily attached to that skill set that a business owner would have.
Typically, yes. Yeah.
When did you start acquiring the skills as a business owner? Again, I want you to talk to my nice guy community because oftentimes, I have a podcast called Ford Mustang the early years, but I never would be professionally a mechanic working on Ford Mustangs. I like
Sure.
tinkering with my car. So for me, that will always be a passion project because that's not something I want to make a living at. When did you know that you wanted to make a living as the business owner of the guy that was the developer?
Yeah, honestly, the business side, it's always intrigued me down till probably when I was like 8, 9 years old. I remember I always, as a maybe not preteen, but as I got into my teens, I always had like these like pretend businesses, like DCM Inc. That was like my
Right.
my initials. And I would just act like I was a business, and I would, I would almost role play with myself a little bit. But then as I got a little bit older, I opened up like a small engine repair shop out in my
Oh,
garage.
nice. Very similar.
And
Similar then.
yeah, and I did like some computer repair in the early days. So I kind of always was interested in business. It was just a passion of mine. And so the business part actually came first. I didn't really learn to code until I was probably in my early to mid teens. And even with then, I didn't really connect the two. I just wanted to write like games and stuff. I wanted to build games. So, I had this business, you know, push and drive behind me, but I also had this code thing behind me. And so they
Right.
kind of married really nicely, in my 20s, and that really shaped my career going forward.
All right. Curious. Ford guy, Chevy guy, Mopar guy. What's a Plymouth? What's your thing?
Ford and GMC, we'll say.
Nice.
I
Nice.
own one of each. So,
You still own
uh,
them?
yeah, oh yeah,
What
yeah.
do you
Not,
have?
not older cars, newer cars.
Oh, I got it. I got it. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a bunch of old Fords sitting in my driveway and in my garage. A '65 Mustang, two '67 F250s, and a '73 F350. And I love working on them, but I never could figure out, or I don't even think I want to ever figure out how to make a living at it. I really like
Yeah,
doing
no,
this
no,
this
projects for
right.
us. Yeah, my son and I have an older, it's a 2009, so what is that, like 20
Yeah, almost
years
20
old,
years old,
something?
right?
Corvette C6,
Nice.
that we bought. We ripped the whole drivetrain out, tore everything down and pretty much rebuilt it from the bottom up. It was supposed to be like a 6-month project, but it turned out to be more like a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah,
But that was
it's
fun. We had a really great time.
triple estimate the time, and you'll still be
Yeah,
halfway
and
there.
money too, by the way.
And money too. Hey,
Yeah.
before we wrap up, just share with our community what the deliverables are for On the Clock. I saw you have a bunch of unique services that are not necessarily typical of somebody that has a SaaS, which are multiple versions of what you do. So share with what your deliverables are.
Yeah, so we focus on some of the core needs for any small business, which are employee scheduling. So, when people need to be to work, time tracking. So clock in, clock out for payroll, PTO, and all the other time tracking things that
Hmm.
go with that as well. Payroll's a big thing. Once you time track, you got to pay. So we have payroll built into our product. And this year, we've already started to build what we're calling HR Lite. These are kind of the fundamental human resource people type tools you need, like
Hmm.
employee directories, employee notes, ENPS. There's a host of other things as well, but the core people things that any small company would need. So we really focus on just helping any small business run the people side of their business and take care of their team
Hmm.
really, really well. And we found that if you do that, like the rest of your business goes really, really good.
Awesome.
So yeah, take care of your people.
Awesome, awesome, and we'll put a link in the show notes so you have access to Dean and On the Clock and the information about his company. And he's pretty transparent. Pricing is right there on the website.
Oh yeah.
Deliverables are right there. It's not like you have to go 7 pages deep in order to find out the services that you offer. And I think that's another great thing about a lot of the SaaS companies that are out there that are transparent is they make it very friction free to do business with them.
Yes.
There's usually a free option, and then there is an option where you can pay a little bit of money, which always leads to, hey, you trust us enough. We're paying you a little bit of money. Now we're going to pay you a little bit more money because they amplify the services that they have. So hats off to you for
Exactly.
putting that together.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Doug.
Yeah. So anything I should be asking you that I'm not asking you here before we wrap up the interview? Anything that you want to share with our audience that I know we spent a lot talking about cars and startups and all the other stuff of a SaaS.
Yeah. The one
business.
thing I would say is, and it goes back to what I was talking about with people and culture, is for all you startup guys out there, you're eventually going to build a team. And my advice is that when you build your team, preferably as or before, set your values. Take some time. I say 3 to 6 months to set your values. You already have them. Talk to your people. It's really just getting them down and then embody your values, and that really sets your culture. But if you don't do that, you're going to end up with high turnover, 20-30% of your people are going to leave every year, and you're
Right.
retraining, and it's just not a good situation to be in. So focus on your values, focus on your culture, focus on treating your people properly and getting them all lined up to run towards that vision of yours. And you'd be amazed at what can happen if you do that.
Well, that is the final word. Dean, thank you so much for sharing your message, your inspiration, and your wisdom on the show today. Thanks for being here. We'll put a link in the show notes for everything. Thanks for checking us out.
Yeah, thank you, Doug. And any listeners out there, this is the great podcast, the Nice Guys podcast. I listened to a few of them. Definitely subscribe.
And he still showed up. He listened
Yes.
to a few episodes and he still showed up. Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice. Again, special thanks to Dean. All of his information, including access to his website, right there in the show notes. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
Friday advice and Tuesday interviews with people far more interesting than they are. Fill up your week with the Nice Guys. Have fun storming the castle.